on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, finding out that Mary Cosby married her step-grandfather, took over the church, and the church is being called a cult. It's wild.
But before that, there was a lot of crazy family history. Mama had a mini empire.
Robert started becoming abusive.
Corporal punishment creates obedience. You better follow the rules or else.
Mary was a troublemaker.
Which is why she got disfellowshipped.
When Mama passed away, all the monsters came out.
That's where Mary got in his house and they're doing God knows what.
And then Robert started bringing God into it.
God was telling him to marry my sister. My mom wasn't having it.
It was out of control. It was every man for himself.
And that's when the trouble started.
When the Faith Temple congregation found out that Mary and Robert were going to get married, it caused a huge fracture among the congregation.
We've seen people try to take over Mama's church. Mama is.
Mary's mother, Rosalind, ends up leaving, and half the congregation walk out the door with her.
Oh, Lord.
The other half that remained were loyal to Robert and Mary, and so that's where the church physically splits in half. Mary's mother, Rosalind, then starts her own church with the congregation members that left Faith Temple with her.
My mom had a fit because she wanted the church. She wanted my grandmother's place.
Mary Cosby says that her family was so jealous because she was the chosen one.
My mom felt like she was the one that should have been marrying Robert Sr.
I don't believe it.
So today I'm excited to be joined by Mary's mother, Rosalind Cazares, and her stepfather, Mark Cazares, to hear their side of the story.
I come to find out Mary Cosby's mother watches Up and At 'em on YouTube. So I reached out to have a conversation.
On the show, Mary says that Mama chose Mary as the chosen one to take over the church and marry Robert Cosby Sr.
That's not true.
Not true. But Mary believed that because she was manipulated by Robert.
Rosie and Mark feel like Robert Cosby was a much older man who had a very heavy influence.
Mary was the young, beautiful 20-something that got caught up. She's a victim. And all the lies that he told were to maintain the structure of the church and the finances.
I think that they felt like Robert Cosby was able to persuade Mary into a new life.
By the way, here's a couple $100,000, and it's your birthday. Here's a brand new BMW to go with it.
A much wealthier life.
When my grandmother passed, like, people didn't know what to do. She was the head of our church.
We believe in a true living God.
So I just got up and I thought there was something pulling me that this is what you're supposed to do, whether people like it, whether they accept it, whether your mom is okay with it. I knew I had to do it.
But after Mama's death, when Mary steps in, there's a clear shift that happens. Things turned up a notch. They started using their position in the church to chastise members, lecturing them from the pulpit in front of the whole congregation. Isolation became more frequent. You can't talk to other members who left with Rosalind. Everything just becomes a little bit more intense, according to members. That's when Faith Temple starts looking like a cult.
Faith Temple, it just started becoming very strange. They put a camera right in the middle of the church so they could sit and watch everything that was going on.
There were times when Robert and Mary were out of town in either her residence in New York or her residence in Florida. So Mary had cameras set up.
Mary would watch the people in the service. She would send a messenger down, and they're giving people messages that she doesn't like what she feels, what's wrong with you, stop thinking you're cute, you're not cute. And people would get phone calls based on what she witnessed over that surveillance.
Mama has done it in the past, and that's gonna try to be their little justification. Mama watched the service to see who preached and how well they did and get encouraged off of it. Oh, they did beautiful. It wasn't to keep an eye out on people.
If you wanted to confess at Faith Temple, you could write a letter.
With Mama, she may address it with you at a later time, and she may not. With Robert and Mary, they would deal with confessions a lot of times by public humiliation. The confession itself would be brought out in front of the entire church. The tone in their voice would be anger, and it would be like getting after your child. They did something really rotten, and you're just setting them straight.
I remember this one girl that I loved dearly. She had relations with somebody else in the church, and Mary came to me and blurted it out that this girl had been doing this. Just the deepest, darkest things that you would tell somebody, they're in turn telling people what's being told to them.
The members became very, very separate because after they heard something that you had confessed, they might completely avoid you. They may not even say hi to you. Pretty soon, you got to the point where there was very few people that you socialized with, that you talked to, that you trusted.
I've seen surveillance and public confession used by a number of different cults. Surveillance is used in mind control groups as a device to gather information about what members are talking about in order to identify potential problem people. Public confessions are used to not only use personal information that people are ashamed of, but to shame them publicly to the group in order to break their egos down. It's a message of fear as well as control to all the other members, because you better stay in line, otherwise it could happen to you next.
My own cousin, my first cousin, his best friend is terrified.
Wait, what?
People are saying that she's a cult leader, that has them on food stamps.
While looking into allegations that surfaced on the show, I spoke to Faith Temple members who laid out a series of accusations that depicted a form of financial abuse. Some congregation members were expected to work for free for Mary and Robert, to be at the house, to be their maids, to do chores for them. They were expected to donate their time and their lives to the church and to Mary and Robert.
In early 2000, before Michael passed, I lived with Robert and Mary and worked in their home. Working for Robert and Mary started because I started to accept Mary's position as Robert's wife and now First Lady of the church. So in between jobs, I would, try to help them. My full-time responsibilities were housekeeping and running errands, kind of like a personal assistant. In the 5 years that I worked for Robert and Mary, I was never paid. I was collecting unemployment at one stage, and I guess that was what they thought I would live on, but no, I wasn't paid. That was more like a slave plantation.
Mary and Robert did very little for themselves. They had people cleaning, they had people doing, bills, they had people doing grocery shopping. But it's much different than what appears in the show.
Will you pay her and tell her to bring my tray?
Hey, Charlene, bring Mary's tray, please. Wherever you at.
My sister, Pat, worked at the house for many, many years.
We're getting baptized in here. We're gonna get a close-up of her.
Pat and I became friends when we worked in Robert and Mary's home. I recall times Robert and Mary talked to Pat so badly. Things like, you're a slave, you're gonna work here until you die. Because if you don't, you're gonna die anyway, and you're going to hell. Pat would take insults. Pat was called a liar and a thief. But this almost 80-year-old woman still believed what Robert and Mary had embedded in her. I remember Pat told me one time something, she wouldn't go into any detail, but she was crying profusely. And I said, Pat, what happened? She said, today was so bad. She said, just so bad. And I said, bad how? She said, I just wish I could go to sleep and not wake up. Till she didn't.
In mind control cults, for the member to be asked to do free labor by the leader who claims to be God or claims to be God's representative on earth, it's viewed as an honor that you're special. And like giving over your money, this is another form of getting people to sacrifice and invest themselves further. And if you don't do what you're told to do, you're often punished.
My brother, Don, gave very heavily to the church. The push for money never stopped. My brother, Don, they were after his money with a vengeance. It aggravated me. It aggravated me a lot.
I love fashion.
Also, you have to understand that the Housewives of Salt Lake City was airing at this time.
I'm running out of spaces. I'm gonna buy a place just to put my clothes, like an apartment. Can you believe that?
So I was watching that and going, what? You know?
So at that point, you had no idea the wealth that Robert and Mary had.
I had no idea. So I told my brother, listen, I don't want you to keep giving large amounts like this. Pretty soon your money will be gone. He was a bus driver. How much money did he have? And then all of a sudden, Mary called me up and kicked me out of the church. I felt like a person without a country. That's how bad it is. You know, you feel like God has rejected you. And then when my sister Pat died, I was informed that I was not allowed to come to her funeral services. I think it was one last assault that they could put on me. It was one last assault. Robert and Mary absolutely drive wedges between family members, friends. Not to be able to go to their funeral is criminal. You're not even allowed to show your last respect for this person you've known your whole life. My own sister. I mean, look how old I am. And I can't show my family respect when they pass away. It's unbelievable, the pain. Unbelievable.
In mind control groups, the goal is always to create dependent, obedient followers. And so the leadership does not want allegiance horizontally to family members, friends at all. They want that allegiance to be vertical to them. There's a tremendous amount of interpersonal manipulation and control. So if there's a family, for example, and one person's questioning and not wanting to just blindly obey, they will often segregate that person, punish them, and threaten the other people to get that person in line or else. It breaks down the normal relations, emotional ties of a family.
In Faith Temple, under Robert and Mary, you destroy your family to put Robert and Mary first. I was extremely close to Mary for a good 10 years. Very early on, Robert and Mary invited me on a trip with them to California. When we were at the hotel, the three of us were out on this balcony just looking at the ocean. At one point, Mary went in the room and I talked to Robert. Really, we were actually even talking about God's creation and just how beautiful it was. That was that, and I didn't think anything of it. After the whole trip was over and we got back in town, Robert and Mary called me, and she brings up when we were on the balcony, she said it was like she wasn't even there. And it was like, I wanted her life. That means I want her husband too, because I want all of it. And I was shocked. Robert was my husband's grandfather. That's the way I looked at him. But I did love him as my bishop. And he said that that's what happens sometimes, is people get their love confused. You just have to work on it. I know that under the LDS Church, if a member is having an issue, they'll meet with their bishop. But the way Robert and Mary did it was different. Robert would call and say, you need to come up the house. That's when my real counseling sessions began. They would refer to jealousy, envy, and lust as Satan's traits. And so you had to work on yourself to get rid of those. Robert would say, do you love me or are you in love with me? And so I'd say, of course I love you. You're my bishop. But no, I'm not in love with you. Robert said, you're getting your love confused because you're in love with me. I trusted Robert. And so I was asking God, I said, Lord, help me see if I'm doing something that I don't realize.
Mind control cults use gaslighting to disorient people from having confidence in their perceptions, in their beliefs, in their experiences. So, for example, a cult leader can say something 1 minute and an hour later say, I never said that, confidently. And for the person who thinks that's a person of God, he couldn't lie, so there must be something wrong with me. The problem is always with the member, never with the leader.
There was plenty of times where I was close to leaving. And then next thing you know, there was a lot of, dropping of love bombs. It was as if they could tell. They needed to show me love again and give me hope spiritually and all of that. And I kept making excuses for them. But then things with Robert got more frequent and more intense. I'm getting phone calls and text messages to come up to the house. And it just got to where it was almost every day. I mean, there was fear, literal fear. Mary and Robert would text me regularly at work, and if you don't answer right when they call or respond to a text within minutes, then you're gonna get a flow of text messages. Roberts would say stuff like, oh, now you're ignoring me, or I know you're not in a meeting, you better call me back, young lady. And Mary's would just rant how horrible I am and how I'm the worst friend ever, and just all kinds of things.
I'm better than you. If you have something to say, it's better you say it to my face.
The way Mary treats people on even Housewives.
I don't need all the fake injections in my face to make my face look like whatever. And I don't need tummy tucks and face lifts and eyebrow lifts and breast implants.
When Mary was sending those text messages to Whitney, she has no idea.
Everything is fake. I've never had plastic surgery, never. I don't need it like you do.
She got a tip of what Mary's capable of when it comes to that stuff.
I have donated to her church. Why are you going out of your way to hurt me?
The depth of low that she'll go as far as really wanting to hurt somebody. They have no idea what she's capable of. If I saw their name on the phone, I would get full-blown physical anxiety. When I look back and I can rewind it as a story, it's like the way it just evolved more and more and more and more. It was like torture.
Once smartphones and social media got established, the entire manipulation of the mind went to a whole nother level. With texting, groups can mind control people throughout the day. So smartphones are the ultimate mind control devices. And that's why we shouldn't be dependent and obedient to this device, or the people on the other side of the device using it to influence our minds.
Kim would be up there at the house 7 days a week. I always wanted to go up to the house, but they never included me with them. And I felt that they were just kind of pulling her away.
My marriage was not bad to where I did not want to be home. They turned it into, if I went home, I was putting Danny above God, and that me going up to the house was what God wanted.
And then later, they started involving my daughters. And my daughters started now going up to their house. It felt like a total separation, like Danny's over there, and now Kim and the girls are over here. And if I said something against what they were doing, then I'm the off one, or I'm the one that's the devil.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
As far as my life and our life is when the turmoil started, where my daughters didn't really know me, and I lost track of our marriage. It became hell.
The whole situation put a huge strain on my marriage. They could have had us both around. That would have been fine. But very seldom was there a couple at their house. It was always one or the other, because it was always about division.
So now every time Robert and I talked, we would argue, we would fuss, and Kim then would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, how dare I talk to this bishop like this?
I'm in the zone right now. Are you higher?
One Sunday, I decided to stop at the church. When service was over, Robert asked for people to go get prayer. So I went down, and he came and he put his hand on my head and shoved me with his hand. I remember falling back about 3 steps, and I looked at him real odd, and I'm like, really? Later on, Mary sends me a text message that said, the whole church witnessed God leaving you. And it was that day that Mary believed that there was no way for me to ever get back in the church. When that happened, I knew I was done. I never went back to the church. And that was right when Housewives came out.
If you come for me, I will send Jesus after you.
When I spoke with former Faith Temple members, they described how Mary and Robert use this idea of heaven and hell to control people. The Christian belief is that to go to heaven, you have to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, and the only way to heaven is through the gospel, through Jesus. Robert and Mary then began to use Mary as this conduit to salvation. It was drilled into congregation members that you need to accept Mary as a spokesperson for God, and the only way to heaven is through the preachings of Mary. And so they needed to also please Mary and Robert, otherwise you're gonna be condemned to hell.
Where's the love? Y'all love me?
Mary was doing this whole Real Housewives thing, and I think she seen the writing on the wall of those who would go for it and those who wouldn't. And I would be in the category of somebody who would not be okay with that, so they just start doing things to drive me out of the church. The instance that really started a downward spiral for me is that My knees are bad, and my knees have been bad since I was 8. I was born with a deformity where they pop out of socket. My gramps was up there teaching a Bible class, and the power of God hit, and then I started reacting. The next thing I know, I was in the aisle with no legs working. I looked up in the pulpit at them, and they were laughing at me. I was just shocked at the level of manipulation that they had going on.
They condone Satanism.
Things just started getting worse and worse.
Why you pretend you all that? You know you ain't.
She's my pastor, and my sister. I felt like this is torture, but this is what it's going to take for me to get into heaven. So it was just a vicious cycle of humiliation. Eventually, I just started having a mental breakdown. It became very hard to sit under Gramps and Mary. I'm doing all I can do to be saved, but it's not good enough for them. So just the manipulation of that, it was the beginning of the decline for me. I just felt like literally the devil was in the room just laughing at me, saying everything that you've done, it was for naught. You've just wasted your time. I mean, the devil straight told me to commit suicide. And then next thing you know, I heard the Lord say, look up, your redemption draweth nigh. In other words, I could see the light, and I heard something speak to me and say, it's a cult. And so I left the church. Being able to snap out of what I was in and walk out of there intact is just, you know, amazing to me, because people don't get out.
The whole notion of heaven and hell is something that's been around for a long time in Christianity and other world religions, but in mind control cults, it really is very intensified that only in this group can you go to heaven. Unlike legitimate churches, the members are trained to believe their leader is the gateway to God. So there's an enormous amount of projection that people give to that person, and they're trained to be blindly obedient and dependent on that person. If you don't do exactly what they tell you, you're disobeying God and you risk your salvation. You're going to be damned for eternity.
The people that were watching Real Housewives were like, we love Mary because she's funny, she's cute, she's quirky. Then when Robert Cosby came on the show, he was very angry. That's when it got real for the audience.
Were you hesitant when Mary said that she wanted to join the show?
Very much.
You was?
Mm-hmm.
No, you wasn't.
For me.
No, you was not.
Yes, for me.
No, you
for
was
me.
not.
I knew everything that's happening right now was going to happen.
On the other Real Housewives franchises, all the husbands would be present. And Robert Cosby kind of pulled back. What's really going on? One day, Robert called, and now Danny's literally right next to me. I mean, he can hear the phone call.
I was listening to this conversation, wondering what the world is going on. He was saying the weirdest things I've ever heard from a pastor and from somebody who's supposed to be my granddad. He's saying to Kim, if I fly you to Las Vegas, would you come? I'm like, what? He kept saying, tell me you love me. And Kim said,
no, sir. So he got really mad and said, you call me back when you can talk. I hung up the phone and I said to Danny, something is wrong with him. It was like a relief that I actually said it out loud, that I knew this is not normal. Looking back on it, I just see how it was just a game. Because then if I would have said yes, I mean, who knows? I learned later that I wasn't the only person that he was doing this to. I spoke with another person that was under them, and she showed me text messages. It was like all of a sudden a chain was ripped off me, and it literally freed me. This is just who he is. It has nothing to do with me. And so I left Faith Temple completely.
So today we're gonna do part 4 of Unmasking Mary's Cult. Let's talk about Robert alleged coming on to other women in the church. Some of the ex-cult members contacted me and shared their experience, what went on at Faith Temple, talking about Robert coming on to them. And these people were crying. Some didn't feel strong enough to talk. I would talk to victims that would cry on my shoulder and tell me their stories, what happened to them, but they didn't want to come forward. You go to the leader of the church because you're going through a hard time, so you're very vulnerable. But then you get hit on. It took a toll on the victims till this day. Well, my message is that if it's out publicly, you can prevent this from happening to someone else. You can do a lot of stuff in the dark. But when people start to realize what's going on, it's not so easy. The world is watching you now.
When I think about cult leaders, they all want power, money, and sex. Sex is not about love with a cult leader, it's about power. They want complete control over a person, and there's no accountability. If they do something wrong, they never admit that they did anything wrong, because these people think they're above the law.
I published my investigation in September of 2021 for the Daily Beast. This was the first time where you heard from multiple church members saying that they believe Faith Temple under Mary and Robert was a cult.
I cannot believe Miss Mary Cosby.
Is it a cult? Where was she getting all her money from?
It did pick up chatter questioning Mary, questioning Robert, and asking, is this really a cult? Will the show actually address these accusations? And then Mary skips the reunion.
Mary Cosby did not attend the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Season 2 reunion. The controversial housewife skipped the annual end-of-season showdown.
The reunion, it's a chance for everyone to take accountability.
Delia from New Orleans said, I've heard rumors that there's a support group for ex-members of Mary's church. Does anyone know if this is true?
It's true. It's 100% true.
I've had ex-members of her congregation come up to me and say that I have it right, that we have it right.
Okay.
By Mary dipping out, she wasn't held accountable for what she did or the accusations.
At this point, it was like an avalanche coming down on her and Robert, and she just didn't want to sit in the hot seat.
Honestly, I am in shock. I cannot believe she just completely ditched the reunion.
Would she be coming back next season?
People began kind of saying, well, maybe there is some truth to this because she didn't want to answer questions.
It's clear that Mary will not be returning back for season 3.
It's like, yeah, good riddance. You should not be a part of this show.
After Mary leaves the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City in season 2, she kind of goes dark, and we don't hear too much about her until season 4 rolls around. She pops up in a limited role, and then she's welcomed back onto the show fully for season 5.
We got Mary back. This is historical.
I fucking love this new Mary.
I ate dirt.
Season 5, you won't recognize Mary Cosby. Why? Because she doesn't want to talk about what we all want to hear about. Did I see the contract? No. But from what I gather, she didn't want to talk about her husband.
Oh, that's so good.
I had no clue that there is like an upscale beard.
She didn't want to talk about her church.
Blah, 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 blah. Like, what are we doing?
So what do you have to do if there are the 2 main plot lines that you don't want to talk about? Well, it's easy. Then you have to engage.
So tender. It'll be okay.
I know, I don't mean to be emotional.
It'll be okay. That's so normal. Like,
No, but
you're normal. You're human.
I want to come on here and just express my appreciation and my love for Mary Cosby. My complete viewpoint on her has changed.
She's genuinely opening up, and I feel like we know her a lot better this year.
Mary, like, honestly brought humanity to the show, and I think they need to keep paying Mary whatever they're paying her, give her a raise.
Mary turns back up on season 5 like nothing ever happened, and she doesn't really address why she was absent for season 3 or ditches the reunion. There's a new storyline, a new plot, and everything from before is just forgotten about.
The internet really does have the memory of a goldfish. Everyone's carrying on about how much they love Mary Cosby and how she's the best housewife of all time. Hello?
She definitely gets a huge pass because she's not been reprimanded.
Where I stand on Mary is that she can do whatever she wants. And I'm here to support whatever her endeavors are, here for it.
I don't support her being a cult leader if that's what's going on, but I love watching her.
Despite all the allegations and scandal, Mary's fully back into the spotlight.
The final kind of allegation out there about you is that the church is some sort of cult.
It's like ridiculous. Clearly, I'm not going to get on national television.
Be a housewife and be in a cult.
I think when anyone says, oh, why would I do this? It's a little bit of a deflection. For the congregation members, there's a lot of hurt and unresolved feelings there from Mary and Robert in their time at Faith Temple. So they wanted apologies that there was harm, that they don't speak to family members, that they did drain resources from them. And Mary kind of brushing it all off and saying, oh, it's not a cult. Why would I run a cult? It doesn't actually get to what they were upset about in the first place.
God, in the name of Jesus, Lord, we ask you to sanctify this place.
Yeah, yeah. How many free?
I am the pastor of Soul Restoration Ministries, Move of God.
God sent Mama here. This is the place.
Most of the members in Soul Restoration are made up of ex-Faith Temple members that have either left or were excommunicated. And I said, Lord, I'll take them. And the Lord began to talk to me, and he would say, all that stuff that happened in Faith Temple, he said, you got to forgive.
Bless that wonderful name of Jesus.
In Faith Temple, Mary and Bishop took the place of God, and we paid for it. But when I left, I could see the light.
Soul restoration. It was like being rescued by someone that had mama's love in them.
There's a saying, protect your peace. That's what I had to do. I got to do better. We all have to.
Bless that wonderful name of Jesus. Oh, there's no other name I know.
Where Faith Temple is today is kind of a big question mark.
Mary, what's the update on your church? Are the renovations complete?
Yeah, we're slowly getting back into it, but it's good. It's blessed.
I just watched Mary saying that the church is great. I don't know who that person is. And I don't believe they've done renovations on it. I will never be under them again. And I will pray for the people that still are.
I said, help me, Lord. He said, I only help them that help themselves. You apply something, he'll meet you there.
He's a God who's able to keep you from falling.
He loved me first.
I just watched Mary being as fake as a $3 bill. This service is really interesting. Prior to this service, the word had got out that they were recording Real Housewives. I said, I'm not coming. I'm not coming tonight or ever again. And that was that. Haven't attended a church service since. Individuals that are still caught in those walls are not seeing the true signs.
It takes something, and I don't know what that something is, for a certain person to wake up and say, oh gosh, I'm in a cult.
Scared to death, degrading, insulting.
You couldn't talk to each other.
Public humiliation.
Always a need for money. Sleeping at God.
Whether you describe it as the universe sending you a message, God sending you a message, when things seem off, step back and take a look. You don't have to live under dictatorships, mind manipulations. You don't have to live under spiritual abuse, religious abuse.
God bless you.
God is love. If you don't feel love, you don't feel freedom, find something else.
Robert and Mary, they're the cons. The congregation is under a delusion. God don't wear Louis Vuitton, and the devil don't wear Prada either. But maybe he wears Chanel.